Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Dr. Glenn Vo. I am extremely excited and honored to have a special guest. Dr. Cohlmia. He's the new executive director of the ADA. In a previous life, he was associated with the University of Oklahoma, School of Dentistry. And I'm not gonna hold that against him. I'm
Well,
not gonna
hey,
hold that
wait a
that
minute,
against him. The
wait a
fact that
minute, wait, hold on there.
I'm not gonna hold that against him that he's from Oklahoma because I went to UT and they got so lucky this last Texas OU game, and I can't wait to meet those guys again in the Big 12 championship. So I'm not gonna hold that against him because he's got years of experience, not only in private practice but in academia, and now he's here to take care of us, everyone that's in the ADA, but not just the ADA. I want everyone to know, not just the ADA. I'm talking about dentists in general. You guys are going to understand, for those who are not part of ADA, you're going to understand why you need to come back home because of individuals like Dr. Cohlmia. Dr. Cohlmia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. You know, it's tough because I have a lot of family in Texas and they're my close relatives too, but we still love them very, very much. And it was a wonderful opportunity and game. It's always a great time. I've been there many times, but thank you so very much. You know, the focus is the ADA. The focus is our profession. The focus is the individual member out there is making sure that their practice improves and providing them the tools that they need. But I am just honored to be here, very excited about the future. We've done a lot of changes at the American Dental Association, a lot. We have really inverted and focusing our away from what our existing processes were and focusing on what our goals are now. And through 5 customer groups, you know, groups that consider direct to member, you know, what member, specifically focusing on them, focusing on the tripartite, because, you know, local, state, national, we're stronger together, focusing on public professional. It is our responsibility to focus on the education, to teach the public who we are. Expansion of the ADA SEAL program is what we're very excited about, not just in public products, but we're going to be venturing into dental materials research too, and providing our members direct what we call B2P or benchtop to patient interaction,
Wow.
translational research. So that's where we're focusing on that. You know, the next thing is business products and business delivery because our members need some information, needs products to help support them across the nation of our 53 states. I say 53 because in the ADA, the territories do consider themselves, they are considered a constituent. And then lastly, of course, is what we call the enterprise customer. It's our internal customer. So Glenn, it'd be a lot like, you know, you got to work today, but you use your car to get to work. Well, you have to put gas in the car in operations. That's the structure that supports those other customer groups. So now we're focusing everything on those customer groups. It's not about process. What we did is not the key. You know, I've always said the 6 most deadly words to any business and operation, and you know this, is what we call twatty, the way we've always done it. The way we've always done it. There's no twatty at the ADA. We're not playing those games anymore. We're eliminating programs that need to be eliminated, bolstering programs, and creating programs that need to be created to deliver the value, content, and support to our members of today. That's a completely different ADA than what we were before. I'm honored to be
Wow.
here. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm like so pumped up. Like, man, I'm so pumped up, man. I'm ready. I wish you should have gave that same speech right before they opened the doors to the exhibit hall at SmileCon. I would have just been sprinting in there, just running. I am so pumped
Malcolm
up,
was
and
wonderful, by the way. Thank you so much for being there. It was a great success. Wonderful convention. Thank you.
well, I'll tell you what. Not doing things the way it used to be done. That is a breath of fresh air. And again, with doctors, I hear all the time. They're like, "Well, what is the ADA doing, guys?" Dr. Cohlmia just laid it out right there. So we're gonna have to definitely bring you back to talk more
I
about
would
that because
love to.
I'm excited. I'm
I'm fully
excited.
available to you. Anytime you want me to come back, I work for you.
So I want to talk about something that there was an incident that actually brought us together, and I have to give credit where credit's due. Joan over at the ADA, she was
Yes.
amazing. She not only reached out, and I'm an ADA member. I got the email about the whole overstocker situation, and we'll talk about that in a
Sure.
second. But not only as an ADA member, I got not only one email from the ADA, but also from my local society and whatnot, and from the TDA. I get all this information. I was totally informed. She also reached out to me and said, I understand that there's people in your group, Glenn, that are not part of the ADA. We want to let them know too. We want to dispel any myths and any misconceptions. Unfortunately, in this day and age, Dr. Coleman, there's a lot there's a lot of misconception out there, right? There's a lot of like
Yeah.
myths out there. So we know that in our daily lives, but she was instrumental. And of course, then this is our opportunity. She's like, well, would you like to Dr. Cohlmia and have him talk about those things? And what are the steps? Look, what's done is done. But the true measure of an organization is what are you going to do to rectify that situation? So Overstocker was a vendor that was recommended by the ADA. They, to make a long story short, they didn't treat certain members the right way, And the ADA took steps of removing them. But Dr. Cohlmia, talk about now everyone wants to know, okay, that happened. You guys rectify that quickly. That's a huge positive for guys. If you guys are listening, they took care of things quickly, like within a day. But Dr. Cohlmia, going from here on now, you were saying that there's new systems, there's new
Correct.
ways you guys.
Correct.
Could you share that with us?
Well, first of all, let's talk about our vendor platform, because we used to work with 4 vendor companies to help us do these things. Now we're working with one. We've transitioned to one,
Okay.
both for communication, relationships, and to help us deliver content in a much more refined manner than we've ever done before. Matter of fact, the member of today and tomorrow will get less information, but more pertinent information customized to them, because we'll be using artificial intelligence and profiling, in other words, to develop what they want. But let's talk about real quick, that overstocker issue. It was a challenging thing, but at the same time, we wanted to move as quickly as we possibly could, but we have to have valued evidence. We have to have real information. So what have we changed since then? Before, for first-time vendors, and actually for current vendors too, there's 2 different processes. There's a fully endorsed product, and they're just a vendor, people that actually advertise with us. We used to do a business evaluation platform. Credit check, business operations, companies, look at the history of the company. We did more of the statistical stuff. Now we've added consumer reports and consumers' information into play. So what we do is we ask for customers, and then we locate customers and individuals that help us to determine and vet that company. Are they really providing what they need? What the strange thing was with Overstocker, they were actually they were operated. We checked them out. And then when we started hearing original complaints, we had to reach out to a few members because we needed some more information.
Yeah.
You just can't terminate an agreement by what we were hearing was hearsay. We needed more than hearsay. We needed actual information. And I've talked to several members, saying, please send me some emails. I need some confirmed information on this before we cut this company off completely. We don't want to draw any conclusions. So the new process is much, much more in-depth. That doesn't look just on the business side of a company, but looks at the consumer perspective side of the company as well, how long they've been around. So first-time vendors, we're going to take through a very excruciating process if they're going to be vendor ranked. Now, that doesn't prevent us, Glenn, by the way, call me Ray. My name's Ray. Just call me Ray. So I said, that doesn't mean that something like this may not occur. There's no way in today's world to know really what a company's true intentions are.
Sure.
There's no way. But we can certainly do the most that we possibly can in due diligence in order to make sure that this never happens again. We did respond quickly. We contacted and reached over several hundreds of members that we had talked to make sure that they were okay, and many times they delivered their promise and some they didn't. And so we had to really get down deep into this and take some quick action, terminate the agreement immediately because we had to work with their state law, our state law, federal law, in order to move this process. But we took action pretty darn quick. From the point that we started hearing something to the point that we were saying, okay, we got to find out more information about this to take action. So ultimately, that has now changed the entire process, Glenn, that it's a very in-depth credentializing process that we look at before we allow vendor company with the ADA.
Well, Ray, thank you so much for being transparent there and really laying things out. I'll tell you what, there's something to be said about verifying your sources, right? Wouldn't it be great, Ray? Wouldn't it be great if I'm not going to get too political here, but like the media or people in general would actually verify the things. I mean, what a novel concept that is, right? Is to verify, make sure what you heard is actually the truth. I'm glad that you
Glenn,
guys
I reach out to a lot of people on this, and there's a lot of social media talk about statements about the ADA that's incorrect.
Yeah.
And I put that out there. I said, you know what? If you would call me, I will tell you the truth. I'm very transparent. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. and I just want to make sure, because what frustrates me more than anything else is that when information is put out incorrectly, that's not true, then I have to go out and defend that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, that's not what the actual process is. So
Mhm.
we're going to be clear, transparent, provide the members the benefits that they need, and continue to expand that as we go into the next several years.
I love that, Ray. So before I wrap things up here, I do want to ask you something. And again, I'm really
Yes.
excited. Not only, I mean, your enthusiasm is pretty infectious. Like I'm like ready, like to put my ADA shirt and just run down the street here. I mean, again, really pumped up
Thank you.
now. I want to know, and we hear this all the time, and the reason why I myself personally wanted to get more involved was I was tired of hearing people saying, the ADA doesn't do anything. What am I paying for, right? And I got tired of hearing that because I'm like, I'm the type of person who's like, okay, well, I can sit there and just join this crowd and say the same thing, or I can actually be involved and try to do something about that for the member, right? That maybe has, or for the person who used to be a member and
Right.
they're not there, and it's time for them to come back home. It's time to come back home, right?
We'd like them to come back home because we're doing a lot for them right
And
now.
that's what I want you to ask. So for those who are, they left home for a little bit, it's now for them to come back home. What's your message to them? What's your message
It's
to them?
the ADA, as I talked about with those customer groups. We're not just providing member benefits, but advocacy and public education is one of the greatest things that we do. There's things that can happen. One of my favorite movies, Glenn, was a movie a long time ago. My father made me watch. He was a dentist. It was called Taps. And it was a movie about an old military installation that was a high school military installation. And the young cadet came to the general and said, "Sir, how can they close our installation? How can they do this to us?" And he said something that has stuck with me. He said, "Sir, with a stroke of a pen." See, our lives can change with a stroke of a pen. Currently, right now, the ADA's already worked in the last several years to pass 284 dental laws across the state that supports the reference of the profession, the patient, and the doctor. We're doing more and more in checks and balances and pushing forward with MLR, medical loss ratio, that holds insurance companies to check to make sure that the money they receive from the patient is going to the patient's care and not to the coffers of the insurance company. We're doing a lot of things behind the scenes. There was an old thing called red flag rule that was many years ago that we did behind the scenes that would have cost the average individual office $8,000 to $10,000 of overhead cost and operation just to report the information that they had put in there specifically. We've saved them corporate taxes. So what we're doing behind the scenes is making sure that their practice is what they want and what they
Yeah.
expect Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's what we do each and every day. Advocacy is a large majority of what we do, and then science and research, doing true science and research on materials, information, and technology that they can use each and every day. That's not done by a manufacturer or by an opinion. It's done by true peer-reviewed information that provides them what they need. These are all the things. Lastly, I'll tell you, most people don't realize is when you use a handpiece in one room or one type and it snaps to another handpiece and it's all configured the same, the ADA sets the guidelines. We're the one that sets the clinical guidelines and standards and policies. We do all this behind the scenes. So when one burr fits one instrument, it fits the same instrument
Yeah.
across the board, that there's consistency. These are all the things that the American Dental Association does behind the scenes to, one, make sure your practice is what you want, that you still have that doctor-patient relationship and you control that you can carry out what you're going. We're working on reimbursement. We're going after dental insurance companies now like we've never done before. We're holding people to checks and balances to make sure that everybody's equitably taken care of as we move forward in this entire process. The ADA is doing so many things for you each and every day to ensure that your practice consistently is what you expected and what you look for in order to take care of your patients in the best fashion possible. That's what the ADA does every single day, all behind the scenes. We need your help. We need your support. We need you to be a member because advocacy costs money. There's no
Yeah.
question. It takes money to do these and resources. We are delivering you now the value for your resources like you've never seen before. Representation is what you need. Understanding, knowing what the profession's doing, being aware of things that are coming on the forefront that could affect you, that we're taking action on behind the scenes to make sure this indeed happens. From tax credits to loan reimbursement, we're doing multiple things on the ADA level to support you as a member each and every day.
Well, I don't think I could say anything else to top that. Ray, thank you so much, not only for just your enthusiasm, your leadership, but also just being transparent and literally just laying it out there. Because
Thank you.
again, you guys could have just swept things under the rug or just pointed fingers, but you
No
guys,
way.
accepted it, rectified it. And again, for those who are watching and you're wondering, you know what, can I go home? Sure you can. Sure you can come home, right? If you're not part of the ADA. I mean, I came home, and again, with leadership like Dr. Ray here, the enthusiasm behind it, I think the more people we get in there, the more enthusiastic members and dentists we get in there, as a whole, the ADA is going to get better.
We will. And I'm so honored to serve. Thank you so much. Glenn, I will come back anytime you want. Anytime you want to talk about any subject, whatever. I'm
holding you to that. I got this on video, guys.
You tell me when.
Dr. Ray said it himself.
I love to be, I hit things head on. I want people to know what we're doing and be fully transparent. We work for you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve.
All right. Thank you, sir. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.